What steps would you take as a senator to foster a more entrepreneurial environment in Victoria, particularly for small business owners who might be facing personal or financial setbacks?
Yeah, absolutely. And Katrina, unfortunately, that describes, I'd say, now the overwhelming majority of small and medium business owners in Victoria. So they say that only about 40% of all small businesses survive the first 3 years, 60% fail. And I would say in Victoria, that statistic would almost certainly be higher, certainly post-COVID. During COVID, the government basically gave a waiver to a lot of businesses to allow them to trade insolvent effectively. They said they weren't going to have those auditing requirements. They were going to withhold penalties for trading while insolvent. But as someone who's been in that position in a business, I traded insolvent for 2 years before my business's ultimate collapse under the weight of addiction and inexperience. But, I know the consequences of kicking the can down the road and not dealing with hard decisions. And I can see that happening in our national economy. Like certainly in Victoria, we have $1 million an hour in interest alone for the Victorian state government, $26 million a day in interest. And that just is such a mind-bogglingly large number that it almost doesn't seem real. And while we're not quite in that position of debt federally, structurally, nothing I've seen in either the budget from Anthony Albanese or the budget reply from Peter Dutton gives me any confidence that the fate of Victoria from a financial point of view isn't what awaits us federally. So I think the first thing I would say that I've learned from my own experiences running a business and managing a business, both my original business, which was a travel agency business that failed, but then subsequently managing busy bakery cafes for the Beechworth Bakery, as Topher indicated in my bio. I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to sort of have a second crack at small business management and leading a team to a profitable business, and to show that I could do that and apply the lessons I'd learned. And what I learned was nothing ever gets better by hoping it goes away. We have this culture, we have this political culture in Canberra, and I'm sure Russell sees it every day, and I'm sure it's incredibly frustrating, where people just know there's a problem, they put their head in the sand like an ostrich, and they basically hope it'll either go away or not blow up until they ride off into the sunset to their government lobbyist job. And that's the reality we've got from both major parties. So I think from a small business point of view, the Libertarians want to see a simpler, fairer tax system. We want to get rid of tax brackets altogether. Indexing them would be a start to make sure that people aren't just paying more tax solely through inflation. But in the long run, we'd love to abolish brackets and just have a flat 20% income tax on all income payable. And that would also allow for significant savings with the ATO. We'd be able to, encourage those fine people in the ATO to find private sector jobs, which I've got no doubt they would be able to do. But I think that overall it's regulation, green, red, and increasingly black tape. Despite the overwhelming no vote in the referendum that we've seen all states moving forward with sort of individual state-based treaties and all the kind of land and property development issues that flow with that. And basically, if being a small business owner, just on the statistics already, was a 40% success rate over 3 years, the government is like a dead weight around the neck of small business owners who are already drowning. So we need to get the government out of the way. We need to make it easier to do business, not only in Victoria but everywhere in Australia. And we need to basically solve our cost of government crisis.
Authorised by S. Payton, Libertarian Party, Docklands, Victoria.